Welcome to our Spotlight on Technology webinar. We're talking to Dato's insights, their experience of the application process, how they're finding their first few weeks, and get some hints and tips from them on graduate applications. As we go along, please do send across your questions via the Bright Talk page, and we will answer as many as we can at the end. Only we will see the questions you ask, and they will come up anonymously, so please don't be shy. Right, we'll start with introductions. I'm Ellen, and I'm part of the graduate recruitment team here at Insight, and I'm joined by 3 of our technology graduates.
Hi, I'm Sydney. I'm on the Technology Graduate Scheme. I studied at Bristol University. My undergraduate degree was in mathematics, and my master's degree was in the mathematics of cybersecurity, which I graduated from this year. I'm now on the cloud security team at Insight.
I'm James. I graduated in June 2018 with a master's degree in physics from Durham, and I'm currently in the cloud operations team.
Hi, I'm Tom. Like Sydney, I studied at Bristol University. There for my undergrad I did mechanical engineering, and then I did a 1-year master's in robotics, and that finished over the summer in September. I started here, currently working in a front office facing development team.
Perfect. Right, so I think especially when it comes to the developer stream, people are always concerned about how much coding experience they need. So what coding experience did you have before coming to Insight?
So before coming to Insight, I mainly used Python and R because I mainly did machine learning, data science type stuff. So I did a lot of scripting and things like that. Also knew how to use things like Git and just developer tools, but I didn't really have any knowledge of any front-end development or anything like that, so that's something to learn on the job.
Before I started, I'd only ever used Python because that's all that I was using as part of my degree. I had a very basic level of Java, but the most basic level you could ever find. So it's basically just Python.
So I didn't really have that much programming tuition on my degree. Most of it I taught myself in Python and a little bit of C++, but certainly no expert. So yeah, like Sydney said, sort of learning on the job now.
Okay, so we've ascertained you don't need to be a coding expert to get through to the developer stream at Insight. No. Got that out of the way, perfect. So what was it then that attracted you to the graduate program at Insight?
So one of the biggest things for me was that you get 4 rotations in 4 completely different areas of technology. So it allows you to sort of try all different things, work out the area you really want to work in. So you don't have to start the grad scheme knowing exactly what you want to do, exactly which specific area of technology. You can sort of work all around and decide what works for you, see what you're good at, and then at the end of the scheme, that's where you can end up sitting.
I think for me, it was mostly the size of the company. In the Insight is small enough that you can approach anyone at any level, ask them questions about what they're up to and the work they're doing, and they're all happy to answer. But there's still quite a few teams and loads of variety in terms of the work that's on offer.
So coming out of uni, I had a pretty good idea of what I didn't really want to be doing. Don't get me wrong, like mechanical engineering, robotics is really interesting, but I was more orientated towards software after that. And to me, like technology and finance seem to be an interesting problem where the systems need to be fast, robust and quite secure. And Insight seems to be incorporating technology into its technology workflow more and more, which means there's quite a lot to do, and I like the thought of that. And from that, it's quite a good environment to make an impact quickly, which is something I was also looking for.
It's very much a high-profile team at the moment, tech within them. So, and the dreaded assessment centres as people put them, but how did you find it at Insight?
So all the interviews I had throughout the application process were really friendly. The video interview was really, really nice. I felt like they actually just wanted to find out about me, get to know my strengths. So after feeling really comfortable in the video interview, it meant that the lead up to the assessment centre I didn't feel as nervous. And then the assessment centre just sort of carried on that theme. Everyone was really friendly. People weren't trying to sort of catch you out. They just wanted to get the best out of you. and just find out about your strengths. So overall, yes, just a really friendly, nice, fun process.
Yeah, like Cindy says, everyone was really friendly and worked very hard to make you feel relaxed enough to do your best. The other thing about the 2-day assessment centre that we did was the fact that they gave you a little bit longer to work on a more open-ended project, which felt a lot more, you got to show off your skills a lot more than a test-based assessment centre. And it was a lot more interesting, I thought, a lot more engaging.
Yeah, so similar to the others, found the assessment centre really enjoyable. One of the main things for me was that Insight kept in really good contact with me throughout the whole process, so I was never in the dark. I never did a stage of the process and didn't hear back for months. So it was really nice to have good feedback. So I actually did a different assessment centre to the other guys. They were earlier in the year, and the one that I was on was Just Tech. And yeah, it was really nice to have a diverse group of people there from Insight. So there's people there from HR, from tech, obviously, and then finance and stuff like that. So it's nice to be able to talk to people right across the business rather than feeling like, oh, I'm applying to one role, this is where I'll be forever. And yeah, just to reiterate what James said, for me, the programming test in the assessment centre wasn't, it was more orientated towards how you think. So if you ever get stuck, I guess this comes into a later question advice, but if you ever get stuck, it's more just explaining what you think, how you think, and that's what I think the interview was looking for.
Yeah, and I think the good thing is you do get to meet quite a lot of people from Insight through all these processes.
Oh yeah, true.
A lot of the people I'm working with now, 3 of the people on my team interviewed me. So
yeah, you get to meet all the relevant people.
I think for our one there was actually the same number of people from Insight as there was actually people applying.
one for one.
One for one. So yeah, that was really nice.
Perfect. So what impressed you then about those people that you met during the application process?
What was really nice is people weren't trying to hide everything. Everyone was really willing to tell you about their day-to-day job, tell you exactly what they thought about the business, which obviously was all good things, but they did give you their proper opinion. And after I received my offer, I had loads of people contact me just to congratulate me, people willing to give me their contact information so I could ask them any further questions I might have. So it's just it was nice to feel people actually wanted you to work with them rather than get an offer and then you don't hear from anyone at all and it doesn't seem like they're bothered about you. So.
Yeah, it felt less like an application process, more like less like an interview and more like a chat with everyone you're speaking to. Because everyone came across as very genuine and they actually wanted to get to know you and how you thought. And they're, like Cindy was saying, they're all very friendly, all very willing to answer questions.
Yeah, exactly what the others said. Just to add to that, just the one-on-one interviews I had at the assessment centre, exactly like the other said, like a chat, but also as well, I felt that there was no strict structured formula that was being followed. I felt like the questions were more towards finding out who I am, and then they actually wanted you to ask questions back, and then they gave you a lot of information about what they've been working on and how they got into Insight and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just a nice chat, and it showed me that the people at Insight are really personable and nice and approachable.
And you actually got information from it.
Yeah,
well.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't feel like you've entered into a one-way process.
Yeah.
You feel like you've got a lot about the company from
asking questions to them. Even in the programming assessment, I was asking questions of the guy.
It's nice because it feels like a two-way thing. It's not just you selling yourself. It almost feels like Insight selling itself too, which is nice because it doesn't just feel like you're working really, really hard and they're not giving anything back.
Yeah. Perfect. So you've started now. You've got through all the application process, and you started, was it September? You would have started. So what are we, week 7?
Yeah.
Week 7. How have you found your first few weeks? Is it what you expected at Insight?
It's what I expected in the fact, from the assessment centre, how everyone, again, saying everyone was so friendly, but as soon as you get here, everyone's really welcoming. On the first day, I think if I could count, put a number on it, probably about 30 people came over, introduced themselves, said hi, really happy to meet you. What's also nice is you're not just stuck to your team. People from other teams all over the business are willing to talk to you, willing to explain what they do, tell you about their team in case you want to move into their team in the future. And also, you're given quite a lot of responsibility straight off, which even though that sounds daunting, it's not at all, because everyone around you is willing to help you and comes over to check you're doing okay. But it's nice because it feels like the work you're actually doing, the work you're pushing into production, is actually making a proper change in the business. It feels like what you're doing means something, which I think anyway is a really nice feeling.
Yeah, the company culture is exactly as I expected it from the assessment centre. Like everyone just is so friendly and so nice. And even though like I came into Insight Investment not knowing anything about financial services at all, and everyone's very happy to answer questions, even like really basic questions about investing and like what is a bond and that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it, and really enjoy what I'm currently working on. Initially I was feeling like being thrown in the deep end a little bit, but I've actually grown to really like that, because like Sydney was saying, you feel like you've got quite a lot of responsibility early on and get to make a difference. But the support is always there. I've got some really good guys on my team who I can always turn to if I need some help, and they're really happy to answer any questions I have, no matter how silly they are. Because I think when you come in, they expect someone who's smart and willing to learn, but not, they're able to solve all these problems and like they've got all the skills straight away. So they're looking for someone who can, learn fast and, adapt to what you're working on. But yeah, enjoyed it.
Perfect. So hints and tips for future applicants, what's your biggest hint, biggest tip you could give them?
Well, I know everyone always says this, but just be yourself in the interview, because like we said earlier, they literally are just looking to find out about you, find out about your strengths, what you're good at. So just be yourself, and they're not trying to catch you out like some assessment centres. Also, I'd say read up on the company and what we do. Also read up on the company culture, because the culture is a really big thing at Insight. So if you understand that, you'll we've already sort of explained it, but you'll then see what the assessment centre would be like, get a feel from it for it. And also with the coding interview, don't worry if you've never done a problem like what they give you before, or if you've not got loads and loads of experience in coding, because they do just want to see how your brain thinks. They want to be able to tell you can problem solve, even if you just write out what you want to do on the paper or write it out in pseudocode. They just want to know that you think a certain way, so it doesn't matter if you actually can't code the script you want to do.
yeah, like if you can solve problems and think analytically, you'll be fine applying. Like it doesn't matter if you don't know anything about financial services, or you're not amazing at coding. That it doesn't matter. Like they're just after how you think, really.
Yeah, just what the other said. And then additionally, in terms of like the assessment centre with the group project, I'd say the most important thing is firstly to be yourself, and secondly, it's really important to be cooperative rather than competitive, because they're looking for someone who's a team player. And yeah, not someone who's going to have like conflicts, because obviously it's like a people-orientated business. And then just one extra thing on the programming challenge, like Sydney was saying, just if you get stuck, talk through it with your interviewer, because yeah, it's more about how you think rather than being able to solve the problem straight away. Because if you solve the problem straight away, it's boring for both. It's more to like find out how you think.
Yeah, you won't have a lot to talk about if you walk in
exactly.
and
In 30
done
seconds
it.
you're done. Yeah.
Perfect. Right, we'll see if there are any questions. Right, so is there a lot of crossover and interaction between the different graduate streams? Now, there are 4 streams this year. Do you get to see the other graduates, or are you left alone? Just in sec.
So what's really nice is actually before we started, we had a few events where we got to meet all the other graduates. So we had a Keep in Touch event in April where we met everyone for the first time. And so we've had a WhatsApp chat since then. So it was just really nice to know the people you'll be working with before the first day. So you know some friendly faces, and you have people to go for lunch with on the first day. And then we were also invited to the summer party, which meant we got to also meet other people from the business. So already before we started, it felt like we knew people, and it made it not as daunting on the first day. But yeah, we spend a lot of time together as all the graduates. We have lunch all together every day. We spend a lot of time after work together. And then how the graduate scheme works, I don't know if it's the same next year, but we have sort of a training day every week at the minute. So we see all the other graduates once a week anyway, even if we didn't go lunch together. So so it's really nice because it's something to sort of look forward to. So,
it's quite a nice size of graduate pool, isn't it? Because there are, I think, 10 or 11 of you this year. It's quite a nice size.
Yeah, it's perfectly. You can know everyone in the group, but there's always someone to go to lunch with or like get coffee with or whatever. But it's not too many people in that like you're kind of overwhelmed with like entering a ridiculously big company. Yeah.
And then the only thing I'd add to that is there's 2 floors here, and it's very like open plan, so I can see pretty much like 80% of the graduates from my desk. So you're never too far away. And yeah, like Sydney was saying, you know, we spend a lot of time together in like lunch and after work and stuff like that. So it's a nice group.
It helps having the investment graduates as well, because a lot of us on technology don't have that background. So even though you don't have the finance background, you've got like people that feel like friends to ask if you feel like you've got silly questions about anything, which is nice.
Yeah, perfect. Right, another question then. What made you join Insight rather than any other company you applied for? We won't make you name names.
Out of my offers, it was just purely the company that seemed to actually be bothered about me the most and want me to join them the most. Like, they followed up on everything. If you sent an email, you get an answer that day. People from HR and also people from the technology division rang me to answer my questions. People from technology added me on LinkedIn to chat to me. Like, it just felt like they wanted me to join the company, which was just a lot nicer, a lot more personable, more like human approach.
It's just everyone just seems like a real person, and you're not just like a number in the system. Like if you were, and I've got a couple of friends who work for like big like multinational banks, and they're just like just don't get anywhere near the level of support or welcoming that you get here.
And exposure
to
some of
different,
the senior people as well in the company. Yeah,
that's literally it. Like my desk is almost next door to some of like the proper high up people.
For me it was, I did internships at big companies before, and there you feel like you're a small cog in a massive machine, and like you can be working on the same thing over and over again for weeks and weeks and weeks. And at Insight it was clear that from the assessment centre and speaking to the people at the assessment centre that the teams are quite small. We follow like an agile workflow, and you've got responsibility from day one, and what you're working on is actually going to have like a big impact in the business. That was the main motivation for me, was that I'd be doing something that I felt was actually valuable.
Yeah. Right, I think we'll do final question then. So where could I find out more about the Insight culture? Right, I think that's probably one for me more than you guys, but we can always ask you if I miss anything out, let me know. Well, the Insight website has some good information, especially on the graduates page. You can also look at the Meet the Graduates, which has interviews with our graduates and why they like Insight, so you can pick some pieces up from there. Also, this is not just a standalone webinar. We have lots of them where you can hear from people across the business, and you can get more of an idea about Insight as well. So those are 2 key places, I'd say. I don't know if you guys looked anywhere else when you're doing your research, or if I've missed anything massively.
It's mainly on the company website. I think the head of HR,
Lynn,
she did an interview about like what it's like to work at Insight, who they're looking for, and that was kind of helpful.
Yeah. And I think all of those are on Twitter as well, and probably the LinkedIn page.
LinkedIn was helpful, I thought.
Yeah. Great.
Just one thing to add as well, just really quickly, before like it sort of falls into the assessment centre advice. And before I went, I actually looked at I found out from looking at the website and stuff that LDI was quite a big thing that Insight did, and I think it is worth having a look at that, because it is such an important part of what we do and like distinguishes us in the industry. You don't need to know from like a really technical level. I certainly didn't. I just knew of it, and that, like, it showed that I expressed an interest in what the company did and like what it stood for in terms of like where it stood in the market against its other competitors. That would be like a little.
I also think ESG is a good topic to look at, because that's something that's pretty big at the minute. And if you have actually got an interest in that sort of space as well, it's a really interesting company to work for, because there's a lot of tech that's going to go that way, I think, to do with that.
Yeah. And did you look anywhere else? I guess this is more the broader question in terms of your research before Insight. So the website's great in terms of steering you on where you need to go, and obviously the webinars can give you a bit more information on certain areas. Is there anything else you use at all? We pretty much covered all of it, I think.
Yeah.
When you Google Insight, you see the awards it's won.
Yeah.
So that sort of helps, because then you know
where it stands out, which category.
What categories it's good at and what to look a bit more into. Yeah.
Perfect. I think we've just about run out of time. So I'll quickly say thank you to our graduates, Sydney, James and Tom, for taking the time to speak to us. We'll put a link to the application page for the graduate programme in the notes to this webinar. And please remember that applications close on Monday, the 28th of October. If you have any further questions, please feel free to email us at graduates@insightinvestment.com. And we do always like feedback on our webinars. So please do provide us on feedback, and you can view past webinars by looking at insightinvestment.com/UK/careers. Thank you for listening.